Okay, to get started making this wreath, all you'll need at this time is the wreath and your bag that says apply first. So you'll go ahead and take out what's in your apply first bag, and you want to make sure that your wreath is in the right position. This green ribbon around the base is at the bottom, and then this pink ribbon is the top where you'll actually hang your ribbon wreath once it's completed. So once you have the top and the bottom figured out, you're going to take your apply first, which is this yellow tool, and you want to spread this out because in a ribbon wreath, you don't want all of the same ribbon clumped together. You want it spread out. So since these are our bigger, fuller, they're going to go first. So I'm just going to take this, tie once, tie again to where it's a knot, and then rotate that knot to the outside, just like this. And I'm going to go ahead and do that to where it is nice and spread out. So I think I'm going to do it on these two bases. You can spread yours out however you want to. Everyone's will be a little different, and that's what's fun about this ribbon wreath. It's just lots of beautiful ribbon. So there's 5 of these yellow tulle, so you just want to spread it out to be 5. And remember, you're going to make the one pull, do the second to where it's a knot, and then push that knot to where it's standing. All knots will be on this outside, so it'll be full and beautiful. So I'm going to push that one a little closer to there and just add one in this open space. And then you have completed bag 1. So the next thing you do, once that's to the side, is get your apply second bag. Now this is the same color as the bow that we will be putting on and this right here. Now it's important just to have this spread out as well so it pulls that bow in, because that nice beautiful bow is going to be glued right here on this base. So you will take these, and this is just to get that same color going throughout to tie that bow in. And you'll want to just do the same thing. Tie this, it'll go 1 and 2. Once you have that knot, rotate it to the outside and move to your next ribbon. The idea of a ribbon wreath is to make it very full. You're going to be putting ribbon on top of ribbon so that you have a nice full wreath when it's done. So I just pulled that knot to the rim. We want it to lay flat and just keep getting bigger and bigger. And you'll go around and do the same thing with the entire bag number 2. Okay, now I've got that green spread out nicely. It's time for me to use apply third. Now you'll see that this ribbon is the thickest ribbon that we're going to be putting on. So this will help you cover a lot of the areas that the green wreath is showing through. And it's just lots of different colors and prints. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my first that have the most matching. Yours may be different. Everyone has a little bit different ribbon just to keep this fun. So I see there's 3 yellows. I want to spread them out as well. And don't right now worry about the links that they're standing out, because at the very last thing we give it a ribbon trim, kind of like cutting bangs but with ribbon. So you can see this nice wide ribbon covers a good chunk of that foam wreath, because we don't want any of that to show in this ribbon wreath. So these colors are so nice and springy. Just see all kinds of colors in our ribbon wreath that you would see within flowers or in a garden, and that brings us the look of spring. So I just have one orange. I think I'm going to stick it right up here in this spot. And you're just going to tie these ribbons around to cover those bases. So just repeat this until your ribbons are used, and then we'll go to the next bag. Okay, as you can see, it's starting to get really full. So we're going to come in with some thinner ribbons just to add some texture, cover these little tiny areas that are showing, and make it look a lot more full without it just being such thick ribbons. There are quite a lot of ribbons, so just go for it and make it your design. I'm going to, like I did before, take one that I see there's more colors of, just so I can spread those colors out evenly throughout my wreath. So once you have this bag completed, and you may see that the coverage is great and you don't want to keep adding more of this, that's fine too. This is your wreath. You're gonna see little spaces like this, and that's okay because those will be covered in our last bag of the very thin ribbon. So you're just right now wanting to make sure you get these kind of things that are showing covered with this a little bit thinner, but not the tiniest ribbon. So we're gonna go through and just tie these in and spread those colors out. Once you have finished these, we'll start the next one. Okay, at this point, I have a few left out of my bag 4. So I want to take it and kind of look to see if there's spots where my wreath is showing. And I can see like right in here, there's some good spots. So I'm gonna scoot those a little bit. Take one of my ribbons that's pretty thick, not thick, it's still thin, but it's bigger than the other ones that are in there, and put that in that spot just to make sure we're getting that wreath nice and covered. So I have this last thicker one. These are a little thinner, so the thinner ones are gonna be great to cover the very end. But I see right here, could use another one. The bow may cover that, but I just don't want to take a chance of any of that wreath showing. So I'm gonna put one more right here in that area. And then give it a spin. Okay, so here is everything so far. Now, on bag 5, you should have a lot of thin ribbons. This is a little thin, like these 5s. And this is just coming in to cover anything that is still showing. It doesn't have to be used all the way, but it always can be. Now, some of this in 5, you'll see it is thicker, but it's this material that's mesh, and it just goes very small, and it makes such a nice covering and adding to the front. So I am gonna go around and use all of these for sure. But I also wanna make sure that I'm not tucking things too far back that you can't see them. So before we give it a haircut, we'll also do that. But I definitely want to make sure that these first green ones don't get pushed too far from the back because they pull in that bow color that we love. Okay, so just take your ribbons from your bag 5 and fill in any gaps that need to be filled. And remember, you don't have to use all of these. I just wanted to give plenty so that it could be as full as you would like it to be. Okay, make sure you're not tying ends of other knots in between because it will hold them down. And the thing that's pretty about this wreath is that it stands out and gets full with just the ribbon. So pretty. Kind of take a step back, look at it, see where if everything is as full as you want it to be when you have it all pushed out. Where does it need a little extra something? I think right here I'm gonna put a little extra green going over that yellow ribbon. And I'm just gonna keep using them. I think it's very pretty when it's full. And you just don't want to go over and hold one down. So you just find a place that you can slip it in, tie it off, rotate it to the outside. Okay, now that you have all of your ribbon tied of all your bags, it's time to give it a ribbon trim. So you see how some are long and some are short. We do want them to be different levels, but more controlled. So I'm kind of going to see that, you know, and a lot of these I do want to, let me push this in the middle. I do want to cut at an angle. I just think they're really fun at an angle. You can reverse your angle. It will keep that ribbon from fraying. And you just want to give it a cut to where It stands about, 3 inches out would probably be your longest, but some can be shorter, some can be longer. I'm gonna try to keep mine as long as I can, unless they're the little ones from the front. And you're just gonna go around the entire thing. They don't have to be the same length. You can have some a little longer than others. And at this point, you're also going to be pulling and making sure your knots are all in line, a little more to the front than the back preferably, because you want it to be full. So I'm going to do that actually before I hand cut it. I'm just taking them, make sure all those knots are right to the middle of the outside so that you're giving it a haircut in the way you want it to be. And remember, right here at the top, you have your hook. You do not want to cut that hook. That's how you're going to hang your wreath. But I'm just going to start right here at this bottom peak and work my way around, kind of cutting these to be the same length, but maybe some of the smaller ones a little shorter. Since this is one of my small ones for the front, I don't mind if it's a little shorter, so I'm gonna just snip. And like I said, I like them at an angle, but this is all, at this point, this is your preference. This is your wreath. Okay, once you have it all nice and trimmed, you just want to look real quick to make sure. Might even need to hold it up in front of you. I see this is a little long, so I'm going to just give this a little snip. You may want it all long and really full. This is your wreath, so this is all totally up to you. All right, as you can see, I've got my hanger there that I will hang the wreath once it's done, and I've got this beautiful, colorful ribbon wreath. So the next thing I want to do to finish this wreath off is we're going to add our big bow to the bottom and our beautiful centerpiece. Some of you have gotten a bird, some of you have gotten a wood plaque. We tried to get everything the same, but we had trouble getting things. So everyone's will look a little different, which I think is fun. So the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my bow and I'm gonna glue it right here where I put this ribbon, so it'll be nice and sturdy to stay on there. So I'm going to take my glue gun and I'm just gonna put a big wad of glue right here for that center part. So I'm making sure my glue is right in the middle of this and right down from here. And I'm gonna take where the knot is just to make sure it's centered, and I'm gonna hold it down on that glue. Just hold it for a few seconds, get it nice and tight. Then to make sure that the bow is nice and secure, once you've held that for a few seconds, I'm gonna take my glue gun and just right under here, I'm gonna tack a little glue and push that down on the ribbon so that it's nice and secure and won't start drooping. And I'll do the same to this other side. Put a little bit of glue on that bow and hold it right down there on the ribbon wreath directly. So there we go. We've got this beautiful bow in a solid color and little pops of that solid color throughout the wreath, which just pull that in so nicely. I like to make sure those are showing a little bit so that it just blends so nicely. Then the next thing we're going to do is I want to add this little bird. So it's a very fun spring little wreath. So I'm going to do the same thing. I see here where the bird touches my wreath, and I'm actually going to take my glue. Oops, I was about to put it on the right side. Make sure you put it on the back. I'm gonna put a little dab first right here on the bottom, and I'm going to stick that right down in there where the bow is. Then I'm going to come back in with my glue and just stick a little bit under each part of this wood where it's gonna touch and hold that down. That way it'll be nice and secure. If you have this on a front door and the front door opens and closes a lot, you're just gonna wanna make sure that it's on there nice and tight so that it won't fall off. And I'll put a little bit more under this side, hold it down nice and tightly. Wipe off any excess glue. And there we go. We have now completed our spring ribbon wreath.